Welcome to the webinar today. Today we were going to do a question and answer session, and before the webinar started, I was getting an idea of who was in attendance, and it seems like this webinar there's a lot of Chinese Mandarin speaking clients, so speaking students. So we'll have, of course, I don't want to leave out any of the all the others that are here that haven't chimed in about their first language, but because this is a question and answer session, then what we're going to be doing is I have some set questions, some questions that people have emailed me about, and a few things that I'd like to address today, just common questions that have come up through email or through some of my live students. And so we'll address some of those and we'll get to your questions. So let's start off. First, let's go ahead and just start off here at the beginning. As you think of questions, please write them into the chat box. I do have someone here saying you're online but don't have a microphone, so it's only one way and you can't find the questions box. So I'm not exactly sure because of the format that you might be on. I'm not sure if you're on a computer or a tablet, so I'm not exactly sure how to direct you there. I'm sorry. Click around, see if you can find somewhere that can help you communicate. Because I know with even tablets, you're able to get send in your questions. So it's just a matter of which one you have and where that might be located. Okay, so I'll get back to the questions here. So as you think of something, please just write them in, and I'll get to all of those questions as we go along. So let me go ahead and start this, the PowerPoint here. These webinars, and these webinars are available to our students to attend live for pronunciationpro.com. And so we're going to be adding on to the lessons that you are getting through the website. So the website has a 12-week program. We have set lessons. And these webinars are to help supplement what you're learning on the site. So this isn't a catch-all, we're going to address everything right here. It's just to kind of answer some questions that you're coming across along the way. One thing that I'm excited about is that we've had such a great response from these webinars that I'm going to start doing them more regularly. So I'm hoping to next month do 2 webinars and for November and December. And then in January, if there's even, if we're getting even more of a response, then we'll do them more often. So that's great. So that's wonderful that we have a chance to, I have a chance to meet with you and answer your questions more regularly. So this is me, this is my family. If you haven't, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Annie Rudin. I am a speech language pathologist, and what that means is that I've gone through a lot of schooling and a lot of certifications to be able to look at communication and be able to identify specifically, I've focused on accent training and pronunciation training for the American English accent. And I love it. It's my passion. Hopefully you can feel that through the program. But so I love the interaction with my students. I love questions. I love emails. I love to be able to get involved. So these webinars give me a chance to get even more involved and be able to work with you in that way. These are my cute little kiddos. I have 3 little boys, ages 6, 4, and 1. So they keep me busy. So if I don't answer your email right away, it means I'm with these guys. So they are pretty wonderful, and I'm lucky to have them. All right, so for those who don't know, we do have a Facebook group, and it's a private group for our students. So if you are a student of Pronunciation Pro, ask to join this group. And I've tried to do a forum on the website, but it hasn't quite caught on as well as I was hoping. So I'm trying to get a little bit more little bit more interaction through this Facebook group so that we can, so I can answer your questions as they come along and that we can all learn together throughout the week. Okay, so this webinar, we're going to do practice session. We're going to do some Q&A, so let's go ahead and start with the questions. Here's one that I get quite often is, many people misunderstand me when I say 15 and 50. How can I make those numbers clear? Okay, so like I'll be there in 15 minutes, or is that 15 or is that 50? You know, that's kind of the situation that some of my students are coming across. The biggest thing, there are two different factors in this that you need to pay attention to. For teen numbers, you want to stress the second syllable of the teen number. So what that means, if you haven't gotten to the word stress lesson in week 3, then we talk about syllable, word stress and which syllable needs to be stressed. So it's about which syllable is being stressed and what sound you're making. So for teen numbers, we want to say 13. So you're going to get that T sound, T, teen, and you're going to stress the second part. It's not going to be 13, it's going to be 13. Okay, so 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So if you're in a situation right now that you can say that out loud, please do it and practice that both the second syllable stress and the getting that T sound in there. Okay, so hopefully you're able to do that. So here in contrast, here's what the 10 numbers need to be. So what we have is that we needed them to have first syllable stress. So I'm talking about like 30 instead of 13. So 30 is first syllable stress, and we have that D sound. So it's spelled with a T. So according to the spelling, it could be 30. But if you notice, in native English speakers, they say D. They say 30. Okay, and so they change that D sound, that T, to a D. And so they say 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, so if you're in a situation you can repeat that, go ahead and do that right now. Now what happens here is that native English speakers, what they're listening for is not only the pronunciation of it, but they're listening for the rhythm, which is the word stress, which part of the word are you stressing? They're listening for that rhythm, and they're listening for that sound. Is it a T or a D? Because if it's a T, it clues me into that it's a teen numbers. If it's a D, then it clues me in that it's a 10 number. So these two factors really influence how someone's going to hear that number from you. And on the opposite end, you can then listen for those patterns when you're listening to someone, because you know it might be the opposite, where you're listening, you're like, I don't know if they said 15 or 50. And so listen for that. Not all native English speakers are as clear and precise in their pronunciation. So you know, they might not be as obvious as maybe I am in my pronunciation of these, but you get an idea. Okay, so something to practice is to go through and contrast them. So 13, 30, 14, 40, 15, 50. So go through, and I'm going to give you just a minute and go through and say, contrast those two, 13, 30, and go down the list. And actually, here's what I'm going to do. Is anybody interested in trying it? If you are, go ahead and raise your hand so we can get a little participation here. So if you're interested in kind of trying this, raise your hand. All right, Ben? I have your name, have you unmuted here. You there?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay, you want to give us a try?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead for me.
13, 30, 14, 40.
Okay, so here I'm going to stop you real quick. So here's what I'm hearing. 13, 30. So you're still stressing that second syllable on 30, and I need it to be first syllable. So 30.
30.
Perfect. Okay, so go ahead, start again and do 13, 30.
13, 30.
Mm-hmm.
14, 40.
Perfect.
15, 50.
Mm-hmm.
50.
Good.
16, 60. 17, 70.
Yep.
18, 80.
Mm-hmm.
19, 90.
Exactly. So the trick is that stress, and then usually it's getting the D instead of the T sound, because that's the part that usually you're pronouncing the T instead it should be a D. So that's what needs a little bit of practice. But great job, Ben. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so moving on. So are there any questions about that? It does take practice. You just have to kind of go through and practice those sounds. This is something that's really easy to do in a car as you're driving or you're going somewhere. I think, okay, I'm going to contrast though and just kind of practice those numbers. All right, good. Okay, so let's get back into the questions. So we already got past this. Okay, next question. This was from Mercy this morning. I got this question. So I'm not able to hear the sound difference between V and W, even after listening to the V sound several times. So I'm not able to see all of it because of my control panel. So even after listening to the word several times, I'm not able to distinguish whether the work starts with V or W. Can you share some tricks? And then what's the tongue and mouth position for T? So I'm actually going to answer the T question first. And hopefully, Mercy, yes, you are here. Good. So let me show my webcam because I was just concerned that the webcam doesn't show up in the recording, so you wouldn't be able to see this. So for the T and the D sound, so hi, hello everyone. So for the T and the D sound, this is the mouth position that it needs to be in. So your tip of your tongue is going to be on this ridge in the behind your front teeth. Right there's a little ridge, kind of a bump that happens. So that's where your tongue touches for the T sound. T, 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 t. And what happens with the T is you put your tongue there and you burst off. T. So there's a burst of air. T, t. Okay? So what has to happen, I've got some pop-ups here. T, t. So you get that T sound. Now the D sound is exactly the same as far as the mouth position, but instead you turn your voice on. Duh, 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 duh. Okay? T, duh. So Mercy, I'm going to unmute you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay, good. I'm glad. So I'll get to your next question about the V and W here. So I'm going to open up. I'm actually going to open up this workbook here. Now you guys all have these worksheets, but just one at a time, depending on which lesson you're on. Oh, you know what? Actually, so here's what happened is with the V sound, I just emailed my programmer. I just put this V lesson together, or these V worksheet together. And I emailed my programmer this morning and said, we need this up on the bonus lesson. So I haven't made a video for it yet, but there will be a worksheet and an MP3 file on the bonus lessons for the V sound, probably by the end of the day today. Okay, so the difference between the V and the W is what we're looking at. So what I want to do is we're going to do a listening quiz because when it comes to different sounds, and if you're having a hard time distinguishing between two different sounds, it's because you're not hearing them correctly. So we have to practice that. We have to strengthen that, and that's done through the listening quiz. And it's also nice during these webinars to get a little extra practice from that too, because I know that with the MP3s or the videos and the MP3s, we go through them once and then you know what the answer is. So it's hard to kind of go through them again. But let's do the listening quiz here. So I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to do the listening quiz, and I want you to listen and see if you can figure out which one it is. Okay, so does anybody actually want to do this with me? I know, Murthy, that we can do for you. Do you want to go ahead and let's see? I don't see your. Oh, there we go. Let's do this, Murthy. I'm going to go through the listening quiz with you. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to. Murthy, you there?
Oh, just hold on. Yeah. Just hold on. Yeah,
okay.
You go on.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do the listening quiz here. So number one, I'm going to say one word, and you think to yourself which one I'm saying. And actually, you could put it into the question box here. Okay, so number one, wary, 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 wary. Okay, so that's the second one. The second one is wary. Okay, and so here's what Kian, let's see, I'm going to actually unmute you. Did you say that you wanted to volunteer? I just unmuted you. And I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name completely, but you said yes, and you answered. You there?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, good. Do you want to do this with me?
Yes.
Okay, so here's, and I'm actually going to turn on my webcam here because I first want to explain what my mouth is doing. So we have, is everyone seeing my, yeah, okay, my webcam's up. So with the W sound, what's happening with the mouth is we're rounding it. Wah, wah, wah. So do that for me. Wah,
Wah,
wah.
wah.
Good, so it's that
Wah.
rounded shape with our lips. Wah. Now the V sound has your top teeth on your bottom lip. Va, va,
Va,
va.
va,
Exactly.
va.
So what's happening, the difference is wah, it's kind of, there's a smoothness to it. It just kind of comes out without any restriction. Whereas va, there's kind of this friction sound. Va. Now, when it's fast, it's hard to kind of hear that. I understand, but that's what you're listening for. So what I want to do is contrast these two. So very, wary, very, wary. Okay?
Very wary.
Wary, exactly. Very wary. Okay, so now I'm going to do number two. Now, I don't want you to answer right off. I want you to listen for a second so that we can give everybody else a chance to kind of figure out their answer. But I'm going to say number two, and I'm actually going to kind of cover my mouth a little bit so that you don't just look at the shape of my mouth, but you're really listening and figuring out what sound is being made. Okay, so ready?
Okay. Yes.
Vent, 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 vent. Okay, what do you think?
First.
Yep, that was the first one. So let me contrast them. Vent, went. Vent, went. Okay?
Went.
So if you're not quite hearing it yet, just give it a little bit of time. Well, you'll start to kind of hear that difference. Okay, number three. Vine, vine, vine. So which one are you hearing?
First.
Yep.
Vine. First.
Vine, exactly. So I'm going to contrast them. So everybody, I want you to listen. Vine, wine. Vine, wine. All right. Okay, number four. west, west, west.
Second.
Okay, so that was the second one, west. So let me contrast the two. Vest, west, vest, west. All right,
West.
good.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, good. Okay, so number 5. Good. I like when you put your answers in there, so it kind of helps you kind of get more involved here. So number 5.
Sure.
So number 5, let me do one of them. So ready?
Yes.
Wast, wast, wast.
First.
Wast, wast.
West. 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 No. Second. West.
What do you think?
West. 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 Second.
Second, good. I like how you were kind of saying them and kind of contrasting them and listening to yourself. So that's exactly right. So I said wast, and so vast, wast, vast,
Yes.
wast.
Vast.
Good.
West.
Good. So I'm going to
West.
skip down because some of those are more of the B and the F sound that is contrasting. So Murthy, are you if you're in a spot to be able to do this, just raise your hand and I'll have you do it too. Okay, so number 9, wiper, 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 wiper.
First.
Okay, so that one was actually the second one, wiper, wiper. The first one is viper, viper, viper. Okay, so let me contrast them. So listen carefully. Viper, wiper, viper, wiper, viper, wiper. Okay, and number 10, let's do whale, 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 whale.
Second.
So what is it? Second one, yep, whale. So the first one is veil, veil. So let me contrast. Veil, whale, veil, whale. So it's really just kind of listening to it and trying to kind of hear those subtle differences between the words. Now, if you have a native English-speaking friend, give them the list of these listening quiz, words and say, okay, say one of them, and I'm going to listen. Because the more you do that, it's kind of like exercising your muscles. You're exercising your ears, you're exercising those listening skills, and it will help you be able to figure out, be able to hear the difference. Because until you hear the difference, and this is something that I see all the time with my students, until you hear the difference, it's going to be really hard to be able to catch yourself when you say it incorrect. And that's what we want, is once you're able to hear yourself enough to be able to say, oh yeah, I caught I didn't say that right. Then it's going to be really hard to then make those corrections, especially in conversation. All right. Thank you so much for participating. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, good. So hopefully that helps get a little bit more of a feel for that V and W contrast. If it's not exactly, if you're not really hearing it yet, then definitely, find a native English speaker that you feel comfortable with, give them the listening set quiz and say, will you say one of these words and help me practice? All right, good. So let me go back here and see. So Issue, he has a question. It says, I have a question about pronouncing the sound TH when it comes in the middle of the word. Words like mother, father. For mother, I start off saying with the M sound, and I find it hard to get my tongue back into the TH position halfway. What can you suggest for that? So mother. So what's happening with that one is you have your lips together, mother, and then you get your tongue into that position to kind of get that TH sound. So really the biggest trick with this is just practice. So if you're having a hard time, and this goes for any combination of any sounds, if you know how to say that sound correct, but maybe it's just a word or, a certain combination of words, then you just have to practice that situation over and over and over again until your mouth is willing to move in that way. So mother, mother, mother. So it's just that tongue is so used to doing a certain movement, so it's really tricky to kind of get get your tongue comfortable with that. But it does come with practice. So slow it down. Another trick is to slow it down and until you can get your mouth in that position, and then slowly speed up. So if you can only say it mother that slow, then start there. And then mother, 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 and then kind of speed up until as long as you're doing it correct and kind of getting your mouth in that correct position, then you stay at that speed. All right, so hopefully that helps you. Okay, so let me go ahead and before I jump into these other questions that basically I prepared, I'm going to take a look at the questions that you guys have brought. So bad and bed. So this is a question that was written in at the beginning of the program. So I'm actually just going to use this this worksheet to do that. So bad, bed. Okay, so this is talking about our short vowels, and that's in unfortunately, it's not till week 7 that you get kind of get more practice with the short vowels. But what's happening here is bad has the ah vowel. So when I think of ah, I kind of think this is the hand motion that I use, ah, because it comes down, your jaw drops, kind of like the ah. There's a dropping of the jaw, ah, but there's kind of a widening that happens with the ah sound. So it's kind of drop jaw and wide. Ah, ah, ah. So what's happening with the sound is that there's not as much dropping and it's not wide. So it's not quite as low as ah, ah. So you kind of have to contrast those different sounds and make sure that you're getting the mouth position. So is a little bit more neutral, and it's kind of back if you think about it. If you kind of feel it, it's kind of like it's being produced back in the throat, like you're pushing it back. So bad, bed, bad, bed. Okay, so contrasting those two. So let me actually, I'm so sorry, I have a hard time knowing exactly what the pronunciation is, but Zin? Is that, I just unmuted you. Are you there? So,
yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. How do you pronounce your first name?
Xinhong.
Okay. I'm going to have a hard time with that. I'm sorry. And what's interesting about that is that the reason that I have a hard time with that is the exact same reason why you're taking this course, is because it's the sounds of English that are unfamiliar to you, and your name has sounds that are in Chinese that are unfamiliar for me. So it's hard for me. So I need a pronunciation class in Chinese here. Okay, so does that make sense? Are you able to hear the difference between those two? Bad, bed.
Bad, bed.
Yeah, good. So do it again.
Bad, bed.
Good. So you're dropping your jaw and kind of getting a wider for that ah, and then you're getting that exactly right. Do you hear the difference?
Yeah, I can hear the difference when I say that, but my kids said they cannot, said I'm wrong.
Oh, okay. So which one are they saying it might be wrong? Is when you say bed, or when you say bad, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Both. You're not right.
Yeah. So think about it when you're in a situation where you need to say bad. just think, okay, I got to drop my jaw. Ah, ah, ah. And then when it's bed, think, okay, I don't drop my jaw as much. I'm going to keep my jaw kind of neutral. And get that sound. Okay? So it kind of takes a little bit of practice, and maybe put it in a, this is a bad day or something like that, and kind of put it into a sentence and practice that sentence and kind of ask your kids, okay, am I saying it right here? And then I need you to go to bed. Did I say that right? Okay. And it's kind of, so you can get the practice between the two. All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good. Okay, so let me go through. Let me get. Okay, so yeah, that and sound. So I'm just going through the questions to make sure I'm getting. Okay, so someone's asking, Wilson, you're asking about withdraw, the word withdraw. This is a good question because he's asking with the TH sound plus the DR, it's really difficult to kind of get those. Withdraw. So I'm going to come back to that same advice that I gave Issue, is that that TH, when we have a situation like this where you're like, I have a hard time kind of getting from one sound to the next. Withdraw. So what you want to do is kind of slow it down. Withdraw. So when I'm saying it fast, withdraw, it's just because my tongue has had a lot of repetition, a lot of practice of getting into that position and then pulling back into the D. Withdraw. And one thing that I want to mention with this word is the DR sound, draw. It's kind of like j sound. DR is j. So when you have something like dress, it's really, and if we're kind of writing it in Rudin phonetics, draw. It's kind of like this with the j sound. Okay, so that's the trick with the DR sound. Draw, j. It's not draw. A lot of people don't say it that way. It's draw, j. Kind of like that J, the way the J is typically pronounced in English. All right, good question. Okay, let's see. I'm just going through looking for. So, Zaywan, you're saying I thought I could tell the difference. Now I realize I cannot. So and I'm guessing you're talking about that W and that V sound. So I'm glad that this is kind of bringing that awareness, because that's the trick. That's so much of the trick of this program, is kind of bringing your attention to things and kind of lifting that. When you focus on pronunciation and you're listening and you're working through this course, it's so nice because things that you thought you were doing right, you're thinking, oh wait, I'm not doing that right, and then it gives you a chance to learn it. So I'm glad that you had that experience today, because when you first, the first step to solving a problem is knowing that there is a problem, right? So you got to make sure that you're aware of those differences, and that's why it's so nice to go through those listening quiz first, to be able to really kind of clue into, oh, am I getting this right? So even with the bonus lessons, there's quite a few lessons in the bonus lessons that aren't part of the standard 12-week program. And these include the SH sound, sh sound, the J sound, like we were just talking about with draw. The J sound is in there. There's different sounds that are in those bonus lessons. I would encourage you to go through those bonus lessons. And no matter where you are in the program, those bonus lessons are all available to you. So go through those bonus lessons, get the worksheet, get the MP3. If there's a video there, I'm kind of working on getting more of those videos made for it. If there's a video there, great. If not, go through the MP3 file, go through the listening quiz, and make sure that you're hearing them, that sound correct, and there isn't a problem there. Okay, so can and can't. I've had this question. Wilson, will you write in what week you're in for the program? Because the can and can't, we specifically have a lesson on that in week, oh, it is week 1, so you probably would have lessons to that. So can, real quick, it's in week 1 lesson, but can and can't. What happens is week 1, we talk about can and can't's difference. And typically with can, it's reduced to kin. I can do that, or I can do that. So it's reduced, it doesn't get the stress, and it's more of a kin instead of can. And the can't is stressed, and we say that full pronunciation. I can't do that. I can do that. I can't do that. So go take a look at that week 1 lesson again between can and can't, and kind of make sure that you can get those 2 differences there. Seiwan, you said something about tone, asking about tone when we're talking about the V and W. Can you use the same tone? Yes. So what's happening with the tone here, viper, wiper. We can use the same tone with both of them. There's no difference in the tone when it comes to these specific sounds. All right. Say you always say the first word. So this person, or Zaywan, you're asking because you say you always say the first word with an upper tone, and I surely can't tell any difference besides the upper tone. Okay, so that might have just been kind of the way I was presenting it, but you know, like if I'm saying I am very happy to see you, I'm very happy to see you, or I'm wary that we are going to, you know, I'm wary about the fact that, you know, we're going to be late. When it's said in context, it is the same tone. Okay, so now it's just a matter of stepping back and thinking and kind of starting to going through the listening quiz and figuring out the difference there, and then practicing the mouth placement for those 2. All right. Another question here, how can you produce egg? My children say I'm adding ya in sound instead of in the beginning, yeg. So what I'm assuming here is you're saying yeg instead of egg. So it's kind of, so you got to start with that sound, egg. So like we were talking about before, if there is a specific word that you're having problems with, break it down. Break it down to what sounds should be there and what sound, and make sure you're only saying those sounds, and slow it down and just get those sounds. So first, and start with instead of yeah. You don't want yeah, you want So egg, egg. So just kind of go through that process of breaking it down, what sounds are supposed to be there, and then just practicing those sounds slowly, and then speeding up. All right. So Murthy, are you still here? I'm going to unmute you if that's okay. Can you say that word for me, Murthy?
Yeah, great.
Say that. So say the word. Sorry, go ahead.
Egg.
Yeah, there you go.
Egg.
So put it in a sentence for me.
I don't like eggs.
Yep, that's right. So it's more probably, you know, you're going to have to practice it to make sure that, because your mouth is comfortable saying it the other way. And that's probably why you say it that way. So you have to practice it, and so that your mouth then naturally goes to the right way. And just listening to yourself, you know, and making sure now that you're aware.
Is there any difference, like the Y sound, does it come from the back of the throat, and the E sound comes from the front of the mouth? Is there any such difference? Yeah,
so, well, they're both, I can understand why you're probably saying that, because in a sentence, why you're putting the yes sound, because in a sentence, I don't like eggs. I don't like eggs. So getting from a consonant to a vowel, sometimes you kind of want to put a glide in there, and a yes sound is considered a glide. So I don't like eggs is kind of an easier transition for your mouth because the yeah sound is back there. It's back in the throat, and is kind of back there too. So you're trying to kind of get to the back of your throat in that sound, and the yeah is helping you get there. And so what we have to do is make sure, okay, no, we don't want to add any extra sounds, but we just have to make sure that transition, that you're comfortable with that transition. I don't like eggs, like eggs, like eggs. So you'd kind of repeat that to make sure that you can get it. So say that for me. I don't like eggs.
I don't like eggs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like eggs.
Good. So
I don't like eggs.
Yeah, so like and eggs is what you're going to have to kind of practice that transition between so that you don't add anything else.
Eggs. Yeah.
And that's actually a good thing, especially for our Chinese speakers. Oh, thank you. I'm gonna unmute you here, or mute you here. This is especially important for Chinese speakers because there is a tendency to say kind of put an extra sound in between words to get from one sound to the next. So things like I don't like eggs. I don't like eggs. So there's that tendency to kind of add an extra sound when it shouldn't be there. And so, and that's just helping you get from one sound to the next. And it's kind of it's something that is easier to do, to put an extra sound so that you can get to the next word. But we have to get rid of that. We got to make sure that you're only saying the sounds that are in the sentence or in the word, because when you start adding extra sounds, then it throws off your listener. There's too many sounds to kind of sort through and weed through, and we're not sure, is that supposed to be part of the word? Is it the beginning of the next word, or is it an extra sound that they're just putting in? So it really throws off the listener. So you have to be very conscious about those extra sounds in a sentence. All right, good. Okay, so Zaywan, so I cannot tell N and NG. So especially when the N is at the end of the word or NG in the middle of the word, like downtown, 9, English. So let's see, especially when N is at the ending of a word or NG in the middle of the word, English. Often, okay, so when a Chinese person often cannot say the 9 correct. Instead of 9, he may say nigh. Okay. This is a really good question. I'm glad you kind of brought this up, because with Chinese speakers, this is a very, very consistent error, especially with the word 9, is whenever there is a long vowel and then an N, that N tends to get taken away. There's a very weak production of the N sound, if any. So if you look at the those two examples that you gave, downtown, ow, is a long vowel. Downtown, there's a long vowel before those N sounds. And then there is, and same with 9, has a long I sound in there. Okay, so we have, and there's a final N lesson in week 3. And this is why I have that N lesson in week 3, is because that final N, is really tricky to get that production on. So we have to really emphasize at the end of the word, and getting that ending sound on there. So there's a whole lesson just on this because it's such a common problem. So downtown, and it's all about the mouth placement for that N. And getting that release. So N is a nasal sound, what we call a nasal sound, meaning I lost the word for it. So the air is coming through your nose. So the air is coming through your nose, so it's a nasal sound. So you're cutting off any airflow in your mouth. So whenever you have an N sound, you got to make sure there's a little bit of a airflow through the nose, and then that air comes through. So holding it a little bit longer before, at the end, 9 at first will really help you get that ending sound. So as far as the difference between the N and the NG, the N is in the front of the mouth. So we have that tongue basically in the same position as the T and the D, kind of on that ridge, except the tongue is covering the whole roof of the mouth. Okay, so hopefully you're all saying this with me and practicing, because pronunciation is all about practicing out loud. You can't just read about pronunciation and improve. You have to do it. You have to physically do it, just like learning to ride a bike. If you read about learning to ride a bike, it's not going to help you any. So you have to practice with me. You have to do this out loud. So, you got that position, the N, that tongue right on that ridge. What happens, and let me see if I can even see my my webcam here. What's happening is it's at the back of the throat. I'm cutting off the back of my throat, kind of like the same part of the tongue is hitting the roof of your mouth, like the K sound. That back part of that tongue, So it's still getting that kind of nasal quality to it, but instead of being in the front of the mouth, it's in the back of the throat. So, see how my tongue is up? Okay, so hopefully that helps you kind of get that difference between so in a word like English, ing, it's in the back of my throat, English. And then the, 9, it's the the front of my tongue is that it's coming up. All right, let's see. All right, good. Let me keep going down through the questions here. Okay, so when I talk to Americans, they talk very fast and they combine words together. In the coming weeks, do you have lessons to teach this? Yes. Okay, so at the beginning of the course, what I have is I have you slow down. I have you really concentrate on the position of your mouth. I have you concentrate on getting those ending sounds in. And you really have to concentrate on exactly getting those sounds correct. As you pass it's actually in week 6 that we talk about linking. So linking is connecting one word to the next and making sure that one word flows naturally into the next word, because we don't talk like this. We don't have that separation between our words. It all flows one word to the next. But if you don't have your mouth in the right positions, in those sounds within the words, then it's going to, you're not going to make the sounds correct, and then it's just going to be, it's not going to work so well. Your pronunciation is not going to be as clear, and you're not going to be as precise. So I have to teach the correct position first, and then we start moving into combining it and making it flow. But until your sounds, the position in your mouth is comfortable, and that you do all the practice required to get that sound comfortable, then we're not going to be able to get that flow or that natural quality to it. It's just, there's kind of that process that has to happen. So good question. Okay, Muhammad is saying the word talk, and I'm assuming that you're wondering kind of the pronunciation of talk. So this is actually, I'm going to write it out in my Rudin phonetics form here. Talk, T-O-K is the way it's pronounced. There is no pronunciation of the L at all. Talk. Same thing for walk and stock or flock. Well, flock isn't spelled with an L. So walk. The walk and talk is just spelled, it's just pronounced that way. So W-O-K, walk. So you don't have to say walk or talk with the L sound. No L there. All right, the word strength. I love all these questions. I love it because I come with the things that we can work on if we don't have questions, but when you guys have questions, we're going to work on it. So strength. Here's how we do strength. Stray. So it's kind of like stray, like I'm going to stray away. Strang. So then we have that NG that we were just talking about before. Strang. So it's that produced in the back of your throat. Stray. Strang. Strength. And actually, the way when I'm putting it together, strength. We have. Okay, this is a cool word to talk about because it combines a lot of things that you're learning through the course. So we have stray. So we have the long A, STR, long A, and I wrote it as AY, but in Rudin Phonetics, I write it as a capital A for the long A. So I'm going to change that. Stray. And then ing, string, but I don't release the G. I don't say string. I just say strength. So that G almost becomes like a K because we're strength. Because we're getting from that back sound to the front sound without releasing the voice. Strength. So again, say it slowly until you can kind of get that position correct, and then start speeding it up. Strength. So a lot of it is that from that NG sound at the back of the throat to getting that tongue in position for the TH sound. And that TH sound at the end of the word is a voiceless sound. Strength. So there's a little bit of an airflow there. Okay. Going through some of these questions. Okay, so how do you know when a particular word that has an S in the middle is pronounced as Z? For example, transaction is pronounced with a Z, transaction, but consists is not pronounced consist. Okay, good. Okay, so this is a great question, and I wrote out, I have a little bit of a, let me actually pull up that worksheet. So I am going to, hold on. Oops. Let me pull up real quick the S and the Z, because that is a fantastic question. So let me get the S and the Z sound here. So basically, my answer to this is it's very confusing. The S in American English sometimes has, so the S has more of a light Z sound in some common words when the S follows a vowel. So let's see if that fits your question, your example here, because obviously there's exceptions to the rules and all that. But transactions, so that doesn't actually even fit. So, so like I said, the rule is not constant. As a good example, is has a Z sound, but this does not. This. The phonetic rule is this: if S follows a vowel or a voiced consonant, okay, so there's our key there, transaction. So N comes right before that S, and it has a voiced quality. Okay, so it's a voiced sound. Is voiced. So transaction. So we're going to carry that voiced sound, that N, into the next one. Consist. Dang it, you're really stumping me here, Wilson. So we're just coming up with a lot of exceptions, but like I said in this worksheet, it is very confusing. So the general rule is it has a Z sound if it follows a vowel or a voiced consonant. There are exceptions to this rule, and it's kind of subtle. So I have this worksheet where we have some of the most common words that have the Z sound instead of the S sound. So I can definitely, and this is something I need to put up in the bonus lessons, but after the webinar, if you're interested in this worksheet, then email me and I'll send it to you. And I'll work on getting this up on the bonus lessons. All right, so essentially the basic rule is if the S comes right after a vowel or a voiced consonant, then we get the Z sound for it. Okay, that's as best as I can do. Thanks, Wilson. Okay, talk. So Yanran, you said you wrote out the phonetic description, and you're right. Talk is right. I just don't use the International Phonetic Alphabet. You're obviously very familiar with the International Phonetic Alphabet, so but I don't use it just because not all of my students are familiar with it. So I just write it as an O, like ah, for that short vowel. But you're right, it is as you transcribed it there. So I know you all can't see his transcription, but yes, Yan, you're right. Okay, so good timing here. I got to the end of your questions, and I hope this was helpful for you. I love feedback, so let me know in that questions box whether it was helpful or not, what you would like to see different, what could be improved on, because these webinars are all about you. It's all about what you need to be successful as you continue through the course. One thing that that's nice is, I've been spending a lot of my time with my live clients lately, and I've decided that, especially as more, I'm getting more of the basic and plus package members, that I want to really make sure that I'm giving you everything that you need to be successful at this course. The 12-week program and what's available is wonderful, but there's always room to improve. There's always room to improve in life and anything, and in your pronunciation and anything in English. And there's so much to English pronunciation and how to really improve your English and speak with confidence. And I want to make sure that the website, the Pronunciation Pro program and website is giving you what you need. So what I'm going to be doing over the next few months is, instead of doing so much with the live clients, I'm going to work on spending more time kind of making more videos and creating more materials, and all these questions that you are asking during these webinars. This is where I get the information as to what videos I need to make and what areas I need to kind of add into the site or into the program, so that the program is really working as well as possible for you and future students. So thank you for coming, and thank you for getting involved and asking questions. Now we'll have another webinar here, and I'm hoping in a couple weeks I'll be able to look at my schedule. I'll look at my schedule here and be able to pick up. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by some pop-ups here. I need to turn those off. But in the next couple of weeks, I'll get up on the website in the webinar section. You can register for the next webinar. Please email me once you register for the webinar. Please email me and let me know what questions that you have, so that I can get kind of prepared for that, bring any materials we need. But always, I am open to questions here at this in this format too, where you come with your questions. So thank you so much. I'm so glad that you are part of the program and that you're working so hard, and I know it will work. You just have to practice. You have to practice. You have to stay consistent with it. So keep going with it. Keep practicing, and you'll get better. I promise. Okay, so I do need to go in about 2 minutes, but I'm going to finish up a few of these questions that are now trickling in. Let's see. If I want more practice, can you suggest any movies or YouTube channels to watch? I'm not as familiar with other people on YouTube. I'm sure that there are plenty of others. There are some others that offer kind of some videos and things. So it's just a matter of a Google search. As far as movies to watch, don't watch I know what not to watch. Don't watch the like crime shows, the like NYPD Blue and some of those like kind of murder investigation or, some of those shows, because they talk so fast. It is so hard to understand them. Even as a native English speaker, it is so hard to understand them because they speak so quickly. So if you're watching some of those crime investigation shows and you're thinking, oh, my English is terrible, I'm having a hard time understanding this, don't, because that is hard for a native English speaker to understand. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, someone's saying Hulu. Hulu is good to kind of watch shows in English. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. So, there's different shows, and if they're talking too fast, those crime shows, just don't go to that. Those are not a good way to practice. Okay, so a few other words. Let's see. Jorge, thank you for your comments, and I'm glad you are already seeing a difference. That's wonderful. Okay, so a couple more words. I'm going to stop with these two words. So bowl and ball. Bowl and ball. So let's see. Bowl, bowl has the long O sound. B-O, O, bowl, bowl. So there is kind of a glide between the O and the L sound. Bowl, bowl. So you have to kind of get from that long O to the dark L. And if you haven't kind of gotten familiar with Ruden phonetics, this B, the capital O just means long, a long vowel. So O, it's saying the name of its letter. So O, O, O. So that dark L is mentioned in week 3. So you'll have to kind of practice bowl and then ball. Let me get down here. Ball has a short ah sound. Ball. And it still has that dark L, but the difference here is one bowl has the O and ball has the ah. Those are the difference between the two. Okay, and then ending on this, how do you pronounce the word pronounce? Pronounce. So let's write that out. Pro, because you're all going to be pros by the time you finish. Pronounce. Pronounce. So for our Chinese speakers, this has that long vowel before the N, so you have to be very deliberate about that N right after the long vowel. Nounce, nounce, pronounce, pronounce, pronounce. Now when native English speakers say this quickly, pronounce, they might reduce that O to a, pronounce. I'm going to pronounce this, pronounce, because then the second syllable gets the stress. Pronounce or pronounce, pronounce. So I've heard it both ways, so both are correct. Okay, so now I do definitely need to go. I need to go pick up my son from preschool. So thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate you being here, and come again to the next one. Keep working through the program. Keep staying consistent with it and practicing. You have to practice in between, or you won't make the progress that you need. So practice every day, working on those. If you haven't checked out the webinar recordings from the last webinars, definitely do that. Those are open from the week 1, so you can go through any of those you want. But thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you next time. And send me your email, send me your questions so that we can address those in the next webinar. All right, thank you so much. Bye.